Okay, kids, it's storybook time. The first story I'm going to read comes out of this Disney classic storybook. And the first story is called Mickey Mouse's Picnic. You ready? One beautiful summer day, Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse decided to go on a picnic. They invited Pluto, Goofy, Daisy Duck, and Clarabelle Cow. They would have invited Donald Duck, but lately Mickey had noticed that something crazy always happened when Donald went along. Mickey wanted the day to be relaxing and quiet. Minnie packed a big, delicious lunch. She and Mickey took the basket outside, where their friends were waiting for them. Then everyone got into Mickey's car. It seems strange to go without Donald Duck, Mickey said, as they drove away. Yes, Minnie said, but there is always trouble when Donald comes along. No one noticed that Donald had seen them leave, and he got mad. Everyone sang happily as Mickey drove. Finally, they reached the picnic grounds. Mickey parked his car on the side of the road. Okay, everyone, he said, let's go on a picnic. Mickey and his friends walked until they found a spot beneath a tall tree. Mickey lay down on a blanket, and Minnie set out the food she had packed. Yum, Mickey thought. There were peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, turkey sandwiches, hard-boiled eggs, potato salad, macaroni salad, pink lemonade, yum, and a cake with chocolate frosting. The food looked delicious, but before they ate, Mickey and his friends wanted to have some fun. Minnie wanted to pick flowers, but Daisy Duck wanted to play tag. Clarabelle thought a nap sounded nice. Goofy suggested they go for a swim. Everyone was excited about that, so they left their lunch under the tree and went to the pond for a swim. After a while, Mickey and his friends began to get hungry. I think it's time for lunch, Mickey said. I can't wait to try Minnie's potato salad, Daisy said. Everyone made their way to the grassy spot under the tree, but when they arrived, the food was gone. Where did it go? Cried Minnie. Well, gosh, Goofy said. We'll find it, said Mickey. They searched all over the picnic grounds. Mickey looked near a small pond. Goofy searched in a blackberry patch. Minnie and Daisy looked in a meadow. And Clarabelle looked in a small grove of trees. And there's Pluto looking in the bushes. But there was no sign of their lunch. Then they saw Donald Duck walking down the road toward them. He had a fishing pole over one shoulder. A large bundle hung from the end of the pole. Imagine meeting you folks out here, Donald said. I came to do some fishing. It was too beautiful a day to stay at home. Oh, yes, said Mickey. He felt bad because they had left Donald behind. Where are you folks going? Donald asked. We are hunting for our lunch, Mickey said. Lunch, said Donald. Why, I have enough for all of us in my bundle here. Now everyone felt guilty for not inviting Donald, but they were hungry, so they thanked him and walked back to the grassy spot under the tree. Donald opened his bundle and spread out the food. There were peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, turkey sandwiches, hard-boiled eggs, potato salad, macaroni salad, pink lemonade, and a chocolate cake. The food looked very tasty, but it also looked very familiar. Minnie picked up the cake. "Why, this is just like the one I made," she said. Mickey pointed to the knife they had taped to the plate so they'd have something to cut the cake with. "That looks like our knife," he said. "And that's the lemonade I couldn't wait to drink," Daisy said. "Those are the sandwiches I unwrapped," Clarabelle added. "Donald," Mickey cried, "where did you get this food? It looks just like what we brought." "What a coincidence," Donald said. "We must have wanted to eat the same lunch." Donald's friends stared at him with their hands on their hips. Okay, it is your food," Donald said after a moment. He looked embarrassed. "Your picnic just looked like so much fun. I wanted to come along." Now Mickey looked ashamed. "I'm sorry I didn't invite you," he said, "but I'm glad you're here now." "That's right," Minnie agreed. "I agree," Clarabelle chimed in. "Me too," Goofy said. Daisy nodded. Even Pluto barked. "There's plenty of time left to have a perfect picnic," Mickey said. "Where did the sandwiches go?" Donald asked. Mickey pointed to another tree. Goofy was sitting under it eating. "Well, gosh," he said. "I was awfully hungry, so I started my own picnic over here." He brought the stack of sandwiches back to them, though. "Let's all eat together," he said. And that's exactly what they did. The end. What a cute story, huh? Now I'm going to read Disney's 2-Minute Goodnight Stories. And this is a really cute book. And the story is called Goofy Joins the Band. One day, Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck took their nephews to a rock concert. "Wasn't that a great concert, Uncle Mickey?" asked Ferdy. "They have a good sound," said Mickey, rubbing his ears. "But don't you think they were a little too loud?" "No," said Huey. "They were perfect." "I can't wait to get home and start practicing," said Dewey. "We're going to start our own rock group, Morty," said Morty. Donald and Mickey looked at each other in alarm. "What are you going to call yourselves?" asked Donald. "The Noisy Nephews?" "That's a great name," the nephews cried. The next day, Morty, Ferdy, Huey, Dewey, and Louie gathered in Donald's basement. They set up their equipment and started rehearsing. Just then, Goofy rang the doorbell. Donald came to the door wearing earplugs. "The boys have started a rock band," he explained to Goofy. Goofy couldn't wait to check them out. "Gosh," he said, "you guys sound great. I'm not a nephew, but could I join your band?" "Well, said Morty, "can you play any instruments?" "Well, sure," said Goofy. So Ferdy handed Goofy a guitar. It didn't take more than a few strums for the nephews to decide that the guitar wasn't the best instrument for Goofy. "Maybe I could sing instead," said Goofy. Goofy was an even worse singer, though. After a minute, Huey whispered, "Do you think we could borrow Uncle Donald's earplugs?" A few days later, the Noisy Nephews were ready to put on their first show. They still weren't quite sure what to do with Goofy, but as they began their last rehearsal, Goofy kept time to the music on a bongo drum. "Hey, do that again," said Morty. Goofy tapped on the bongo drum again. That's not bad, cried Dewey. Before long, Mickey, Minnie, Daisy, Donald, and the rest of the audience had arrived. The noisy nephews played all their songs perfectly. Hey, you guys sound great, said Mickey. I knew they would, said Donald. After all, they're our nephews. And don't forget our star bongo player, Goofy, said Louie happily. The end. Now on to the next story. This one's called Buried Treasure. It was a beautiful sunny day. Donald Duck was at the beach with his nephews and Goofy. Why don't you build a sandcastle while I take a nap, said Donald. This looks like a good spot. And he got comfortable in his lounge chair to take a nap. That sounds like fun, said Huey. And their castle was coming along nicely when Goofy's shovel hit something hard. Gosh, what's that? Goofy asked. It looks like some sort of chest, said Louie. I bet it's a pirate chest, cried Dewey. Let's see what's inside. Goofy opened the chest, and there was a piece of paper inside. It says here, said Goofy, to take 30 paces due south. Everyone followed Goofy. Now it says to take 50 paces west to the driftwood, continued Goofy. They found the driftwood. Now we take 5 paces north and dig, Goofy said. I bet we'll find a chest full of jewels, said Dewey. Or gold, said Louie. Oh, they're excited. Here it is, cried Louie, pulling a metal chest out of the sand. Oh, open it, said Goofy. Huey lifted the lid, and they all looked inside. What kind of pirate treasure is that? Asked Dewey. It looks pretty valuable to me, said Donald with a chuckle. It's our lunch, said Louie, with a puzzled look on his face. Huey finally got the joke. You really fooled us this time, Uncle Donald, he said. Oh, this is the most exciting lunch we ever dug up, though, said Goofy, and they all had a good laugh. What a cute story. The end. Okay, here's the last story, and it's called A Visit to Grandma Duck's Farm. Huey, Dewey, and Louie couldn't wait to get to Grandma Duck's farm. I'm going to go horseback riding, said Huey. The first thing I'm going to do is jump in the pond, said Dewey. When they got to the farm, Grandma Duck was waiting for them on the porch. Good morning, boys, she said. Come inside and have breakfast. I have something to tell you. The boys sat down to a big breakfast. Jake, our hired hand, isn't feeling well, said Grandma. The work around here is really piling up. We'll do it, said the boys. Well, there's quite a bit of work to do, said Grandma. The pigsty and the stables have to be cleaned, and the cows need milking. The eggs have to be gathered, and the hay needs stacking. Do you think you can handle all of that? Asked Grandma. No problem, said Louie. While you're out working up an appetite, I'll be in the kitchen cooking up a storm, Grandma said. At least you'll have something to look forward to after working so hard. You won't have to call us twice, said Huey. This is a lot harder than it looks, said Dewey, as he milked what seemed like the 100th cow? It sure is, agreed Louie. But just keep your mind on dinner. Do you think Grandma will bake one of her pies? Sure, said Huey. Maybe even 2 of them. Then they went to do the rest of the chores. The boys worked harder than they ever had before. Soon, all they had left to do was stack the hay. I can't wait to have some of Grandma's mashed potatoes and gravy, said Louie, and his mouth was watering. And don't forget her homemade biscuits, added Dewey. Let's hurry up and finish, Huey said. Meanwhile, Grandma Duck was putting the finishing touches on her dinner. She called out the window to the 3 boys. Where can they be? She thought. She looked for them in the hen house. She looked in the dairy barn. She looked in the pigsty and in the stables. When Grandma got to the hayfield, she heard some strange noises. Just as I thought, she said to herself. There they were, sound asleep and snoring loudly. It looks like those little guys have tired themselves out, Grandma said. But it would be a shame for them to miss dinner. So Grandma shook the boys gently. Come on, boys, she said. It's time for dinner. Huey sat up and rubbed the sleep from his eyes. I guess you did have to call us twice, Grandma, he said. And then they headed off to eat a delicious meal with Grandma. Cute little guys, tired out. They fell asleep after working so hard on Grandma's farm. They're so good. The end. That's all the stories I have for this week, y'all. I hope you enjoyed them. Bye. Good night.